Hey guys, Major Thesk back to bring you another episode of Species of the Covenant. Today, we'll be looking at the Jiralhanae, the second Covenant race encountered by humanity, and the most savage opponents of the Human Covenant War. So without further ado, let's begin. The Jiralhanae, more commonly known as the Brutes, are a carnivorous sapient species of pseudo-ursine mammals. They have a strong, pack-based mentality, living in tribal settlements, developing feuds, and often clashing with one another throughout their history. At the bottom of the totem pole, you have a single pack, led by a chieftain. Then you have a collection of like-minded packs that come together, and they're known as master packs, which in turn are commanded by what are known as alpha tribes, or skeins for short. The two most prominent skeins we know of were the Rital and the Veloth. These two skeins would war against each other over their different ideologies, with the Rital representing the more primal conservatism of the Jiralhanae, while the Veloth were more open-minded and willing to incorporate new ideas and technology for the betterment of their species. Similar to most mammals, the Jiralhanae are covered in thick fur, ranging from black to shades of brown. Gray pelts were seen by most Jiralhanae as a sign of strength and cunning, and were duly respected by their fellow tribesmen. While all brutes clearly took great pride in their fur, in times of war, there were some tribes that would shave most of it off. An interesting evolutionary trait of the species was the ability to release pheromones to alert others to their emotional state. While this is unstable during youth, adults seem to be able to control this on an almost subconscious level. When a Jiralhanae is surrounded, they release a pheromone that brings them into a berserk rage. Within this state of primal anger, they unleash their full physical fury upon anyone who crosses their path. Once in this state, they cannot be controlled. They only calm down once they've worn themselves out, or all of their foes are nothing but bloody stains. When a male Jiralhanae reaches manhood, they often add suffixes to their name. So with the Rital skein, they often use the us and suffixes. So for example, you would have Tartar, and then you would add the us suffix, and you would have Tartarus. While most pack brothers are united against their rivals, they often die amongst themselves in accordance to the Jiralhanae way of life. Might makes right. This leads to constant competition and eventual infighting within tribes. In fact, the mantle of chieftain can only pass to another once the previous chieftain has been slain. While males serve in warrior roles, female Jiralhanae generally serve as mothers and caretakers within the tribe. The Jiralhanae culture reflects the harsh environment of their homeworld, Doisac. The planet is rich with ore, and has a number of different jungle plains and oceans dotting its surface. However, the planet is orbited by three moons, Wariel, Soirapt, and Tish. The gravitational pull of these three moons makes the planet very tectonically active, and creates various tidal waves and makes navigation extremely difficult to nigh on impossible. All this, with a gravity being twice that of Earth, makes the Jiralhanae much more durable and far stronger. The Jiralhanae have fought in numerous wars throughout their history, for as long as they can remember. Despite this, they would become an industrial species and eventually achieve spaceflight. Their warlike nature, however, would be their downfall. In what was known as the First Immolation, after numerous skirmishes between smaller packs, the chieftain known as Rukt set out a bloody campaign to subjugate all of Doisac. As a result, nuclear fire decimated the Jiralhanae, and they lost their capability for spaceflight. They were once again reduced to a primitive, factious species without a purpose. They would regain a purpose after they were discovered by the Covenant. Though most resisted the entreatment of the prophets, the Jiralhanae's search for a theological meaning led their species to a swift incorporation into the Covenant. They would adopt the worship of the Forerunners and become fervent in such belief, whereas before, they would worship totems and idols, with their religion on Doisac mainly based off of the lunar cycles of their three moons. The Covenant quickly stabilized Jiralhanae society and once again brought order to this feral race. A singular chieftain was chosen by the Covenant hierarchs to rule over all of the packs and become a representative for their species within the hegemony. With a more stabilized government, the Jiralhanae abandoned most of their ancient traditions and traded it for what the Sansheum and the ruling castes of the Covenant offered. However, due to their savage, barbaric nature, they were, and still are, at odds with the honor-bound Sangheili. The Sangheili, on their part, became immediately distrustful of the brutes, both for their superior strength and their primitive nature. Knowing their history and how they treated the technology they used, the Sangheili limited the holy gifts of the Covenant, holding back key systems within ships and weapons to those whom they deemed unworthy. This sparked a tense rivalry between the two species that would culminate into the Great Schism in 2552, which brought about the end of the Covenant that had lasted for over 3,000 years. After the Prophet's downfall, at the end of the war, most Jiralhanae reverted to their pre-Covenant savage ways, and war once again over Doisac. Though some have tried to unite their tribes, as a united front, their efforts were fruitless. The only potential figure of leadership for the Jiralhanae is the leader of the Banished, Atriox. He took his pack of rebels that fought against the Covenant during the war to become a powerful mercenary group that seeks power and dominance. What future he could bring to the brutes, no one knows, but what is certain is that should they unite, no one will be safe from their feral nature, and it will be unleashed upon all who stand in their way in the galaxy.